Hey everyone, my name is Tegan and welcome back to TandeWrites, but today we're talking about my reading for September. I'm immediately pulling up a reference because I do not know what I have read this month. So this month I have read, we'll say 9.5 books. 9 were books, the half was me kind of rereading my book, The Will Be Able Summers, to go through and pick out some quotes. So again, I did read it, but I've read it so many times that I was skim reading. But I read it. 9.5 books. And a short twist to events, I did fill out my reading journal, however it was such sporadic reading. I read all of them very quickly, so there's not much overlap in the lines, unlike previous months where it looked quite a bit more pleasing. That's a bit more pleasing. This is a bit sparse, but I did fill it out, did it. And we will go straight into some stats because I had an advanced copy or 2 this month that I need to talk about in a bit more detail, so we're going to speed through the first few bits. Moods for the month were predominantly mysterious, tense, and dark. A little bit of funny, light-hearted and hopeful in there, and I know that must be solely down to the T. Kingfisher book I read this month, as, her books are very humorous, hopeful, despite, the horror-influenced fantasy. No change here with YA, LGBT and horror being my top genres. What do I have to do to get StoryGraph to stop young adult, or age categories, or representation from being genres? Also, their AI summary preview thing for books is still horrific, and they are still refusing to acknowledge comments. They will reply to pretty much every comment in that digital comment section, except the ones questioning the ethicalness. They're refusing to reveal what's training their AI. And as someone who has a book on there that has these AI-generated summaries, which are horrific and misleading and don't tell you what the book's about, and in fact are misleadingly promoting my book, I would like to know. Or I would like to opt out of that having that on my book, because you can opt out of viewing it, but it's still going to be there for people who have it turned on. Average rating was 3.11 stars. It was quite an underwhelming reading month. And that's all I have to say about it. And I also decided to screenshot my pages and minutes read graph this month, just to show how sporadic my reading is. Usually I will read quite consistently throughout the month. This month, for whatever reason, just not interested in picking up a book. Okay, let's talk books. I will do it in kind of the order that I finished them, because there's not enough diversity here to group it in any other way. The first book I finished reading this month was this advanced copy of When We Were Monsters by Jennifer Niven, who was the author of All the Bright Places, which I've become re-obsessed with recently. I wanted to say it was here. It's down here. Because my book, The Will Be Able Summers, is similar, psycho-contemporary vibes. And this is my first physical arc I've kind of won. I had a couple from writing competitions I won when I was younger, but this is from Penguin. I think I'm on their email list, and I saw this was there, and I clicked to request it, not expecting anything to come out of it. I thought they would prioritize follow accounts, because I think you do have to submit follow accounts for these kind of creator email lists. And then it turned up at my doorstep. It turned up maybe 2 or 3 days before the book came out. So I rush read this, and thankfully it was an easy, fun, enjoyable read that I could read in 2 days. So When We Were Monsters is a moody, character-driven thriller that asks how far you're willing to go to have a chance at achieving your dreams. I loved the eerie setting. It's a woodland mansion cut off from the world during a snowstorm, and the interwoven literary references, specifically Frankenstein, as I do love when characters who are writers and who are supposed to be writers have an interest in their medium outside of their own words. And I love when a book is marketed as a dark academia and actually is deserving of that title. I believe a critique of academia should be a non-negotiable aspect of the genre, rather than achieving the vibes of a Pinterest board, dark academia vibes. Everyone's got their I can't say it. There are a lot of books that are dark academia because it's just set in a moody boarding school setting and someone dies. This actually is about academia. And yeah, it definitely delivered what I wanted. It's a different side to what I've read from this author in the past, obviously All the Right Places. And it's a side I would love to read more from. And thank you for the Penguin books for the arc. This is very special to me. It's my first arc. First physical arc. And also, look at that flop. Next book I finished reading this month was The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. And that's because I'm trying to get into more space-adjacent books. I finished Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid's last month before, completely obsessed with it, because it's books about space that aren't necessarily set in space. It's a book about being on the planet and looking at the stars and seeing how small it makes you feel and you're overwhelmed by the vastness of the world. I'm looking for more space books like that, because I don't think I can get into more sci-fi. If I have to read about how a spaceship works, I'm going to put the book down. And The Gravity Reverse, thankfully, is a book. It's about a kid whose dad gets accepted into a NASA training program, so his life is uprooted. He moves to Texas. He falls in love with another astronaut's son, and he's also like a TikTok streamer who is using his social media platforms to amplify the voices of like the kind of less important, because in these space missions the astronauts become like the focus of the NASA authorized TV show, and this guy's going around talking to engineers and plant people and all like the little people who never get mentioned on the big screen, and is trying to create public interest in the space program after some tragedies happen to astronauts. And yeah, this book could have been more spacey, because the kid himself, whose name escapes me, overall doesn't hugely care about space, but he does care about the people who do care about space. But yeah, I'm trying to start a collection of these space books. The next book I finished reading this month was the advanced ebook copy this time of We Call Them Witches by Indie Rose Bauer. And this book took me... Oh no, it only took me 4 days to read. It felt like longer. I haven't written my review for this. It's just going to be another paragraph one, which I've been sticking to a lot this year. But I picked this up because it is pitched as a horror steeped in pagan folklore and a sapphic romance, and it's set in this post-apocalyptic world full of hungry eldritch. It's for the creatures. I think my first issue with this book is it took me far too long to learn what the main character's name was. And it's only found out because a different character says Sarah, and it took me a while to also work out that the Sarah they're referring to is the main character and not just someone off page. I'd say another issue I had with this book is I can usually suspend my disbelief enough to believe in post-apocalyptic settings, to believe in the world falling apart, but somehow this one I couldn't. Basically, from what I gather, because a lot of things are told in like flashback, but very abstract flashback scenes, because the main character just doesn't want to remember what's going on, and therefore we never find out what happened. So the world falls apart. We don't know why the world falls apart. We know that Sarah and her family are in a flat. A kind of creature breaks in the city, and then they run away to the countryside because it's safer there. Is it safer? I don't know. And they kind of camp out in these abandoned houses where the family's gone. Don't know. Assume just dead in their beds. I think sometimes they are dead in their beds. But yeah, there's no other signs of civilization here. They're just keeping to themselves. I didn't really care about any of the characters. We didn't really get to know them. It's Sarah, there's an older sibling. The older sibling's wife, girlfriend, the mother, and a bunch of young kids who I don't care about. And then this girl called Parsley just shows up one day. They find her outside the ward set around their house. And also I do like that there is a belief in pagan folklore in this book, and that it is, valid, and the protection methods, the herbs, the circles, all that stuff does work as wards. I like that. And then this girl shows up, and she has a very vague, ominous, amnesia-esque backstory, and that's fine. They just let her in. And then, a kid goes missing by these creatures. These creatures we see a bit, they never really have any page time. We hear about them a lot. We hear why they're scary. Apparently they adapt to the environment that they're in, so some of them look like trees when they're in the city. Some of them look like dumpsters. But we don't know. There's so many unanswered questions here. I will write my review and have a more articulate thing, but basically my issue is there's so much unknownness, and I don't like any of the characters. Next book I finished was Clockwork Prince audiobook reread by Cassandra Clare. I reread Clockwork Angel last month. And I just wanted something, relatively easy, light-hearted to read. And because this is like the most popular series out of all the Shadowhunters universe in the fandom, and I don't want to reread The Mortal Instruments anytime soon because I don't have 6 books in me right now, I thought, I'm going to reread this one and try and remember why people like it so much, because I remember not liking it hugely when I read it. And I'm still having a good, enjoyable time. And that's about it. Clockwork Prince, I will guess, it's got, middle book blues syndrome. It's my least favourite out of the 3 to my memory. But I enjoyed it. I had a silly, goofy time. Next up is The Blanks by Grady Hendrix. And this is one of these, Amazon original stories, short stories, novellas. It's another, 30, 40 something page book. And this one is about You know, there's this island where a bunch of rich people go on holiday, they have their second homes there, and it seems very normal. Except from what I can gather, there's kind of a creature, or many of these kind of skin creatures on the island. And if you ignore them, you're safe, but if you look at them, they come for you. I think. So the story is basically this family, they're, you know, rocking up on the island. There's this woman here crying at some kind of port, and everyone's ignoring her because she's crazy. But what has happened is I think her husband must have been taken by a skin creature. So the family is minding their business. The child accidentally makes prolonged eye contact with one of these creatures because it was eating someone. This is all like extreme vagueness because I don't really remember what I read. And then the parents are like, no, it's fine, you didn't look at it for too long, you didn't see anything. They're pretending the creatures don't exist. They're like, oh no, what a shame this person just had a heart attack and collapsed on the pavement, when really they're being consumed by a creature. At the end of the day, the parents give their children some kind of sleeping drugs so they're not awake when they get eaten, and they just kind of, you know, hunker down in their bedroom and listen to their kid get eaten. That's it. I need this in like full novel form right now to work out what's going on. Then I read His Black Tongue, and this, there's so much implied backstory that I thought would have been, at least for me, more exciting than what actually happened. But it is about this friar and his ward. They're walking for a long time, they're on a travel, they're dodging these plagued towns, and they're trying to go somewhere. On the way, they stop at this little town in the middle of nowhere. They befriend all the other like friars and religious people there. And this town seems like relatively safe during the daytime, but at night, all the fields outside the walls turn to like fiery pits of hell. And the friar's like, that's not right. And one day, a little boy dies, and the friar goes to like bless his coffin, and he opens the coffin, and the boy is like turning into a monster or a devil or a demon. And the friar's like, not right. Something's going on. And then they investigate the history of the town, find out some witch trials. Someone must have survived. They locate the witch. But yeah, I picked this one up. It must be on Kindle Unlimited again. I just really like the cover. I really liked the cover. I think I'm just going to stop picking up short stories and novellas for a while until I can regain my faith in my own personal taste. Next up is We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall, because I read a lot of her books, I think, last year, and I'm desperate for more. I think I want more of her horror influenced ones, but this one is about a girl who... How do I explain this? A group of people are gone to the set of this abandoned town, which is meant to be the set for a survival reality TV show, and they get there, they're ready to go, very start the TV show, and they suddenly realise that there's no crew there, there's no one coming to help them, they are just like trapped in this town and have to fend for themselves. And some of their castmates aren't who they seem. And the guy who's meant to be in charge of the TV show is like an expert survivalist. He's like if Bear Grylls, if you're familiar with Bear Grylls, was a sadist. Really enjoyed this. I was going to say I wasn't expecting to. Based off like the plot, the description, I probably wouldn't have picked this up if it was by any other author. But I've read enough Kate Alice Marshall books and I trust her entirely with my life. I'm not usually a thriller girly, but anything for her. Really enjoyed this, gave it 4 stars. Next up is my other physical read for the month, which is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Knew from the start I was going to love this because it's T. Kingfisher. But let's first of all, okay, it's black. Let's just show off. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Any papers. Gorgeous. Again. But what's the real beauty here is, look at her. Stunning, but, well, stunning. And the thing I love about Waterstone Special Editions is that they are pretty much either the exact same price or only £1 more than the non-special edition. So of course, I'm going to pay a very normal price for a book in the UK for reference. That's obviously where my books are cheap. I'm obviously going to get the special one, as it's the same price as a non-special one. But I'm starting to lose interest in special editions, I say, as I have both the Owl Crate and the Luma Crate October boxes coming at some point. You'll see when the unboxing comes up. But this is... It's technically pitched as like a Snow White reimagining, but I'm looking at the acknowledgements of the quote here that kind of explains what's going on. So T. Kingfisher is talking to her agent. She's pitching the book as like, okay, it's like Snow White, except ignore Snow White. The important thing is the mirror and the poisoned apple. And that is what this book is. So yeah, this book is by a healer called Anya. She's not really a healer. She drinks poison. She poisons herself to try and find cures for poisons. because when she was younger, like one of her family members died to poison. She thought, there's no cure. I'm going to find one. Love autism. Love autism. And she's in this kingdom, and one day the king comes to find her, and he's like, hey, my daughter's dying and no one can work out why. Is it poison? And she goes off on her little travels to hang out with the king's daughter and work out what's going on. And we very quickly realise that, we've monitored every single thing possible. It might be poison, but where's it coming from? So Anya rushes to treat Snow, who is the king's daughter. Nothing works. And then one day, she just happens to fall through a mirror. First, she sees Snow eating an apple, and Anya steals the apple and has a little taste to find out if it's poison. And then that is what unlocks the ability to travel into the mirror realm. I love the mirror realm. Because it's a little bit different to what I've read in T. Kingfisher Works before. I've read something similar in a book I cannot remember right now. But the execution, how the mirror logic works, took a minute to wrap my head around. Really loved. I love the mirror guilds. The little creatures, the massive creatures in the mirror world. But overall, as always, as all T. Kingfisher books are for me, fun, enjoyable, I love it. I would say it's my tentative favourite read of the month, but not quite enough to make it into my year list of favourites. And there's already a T. Kingfisher book on that list. Well, two, The Clockwork Boys and The Clockwork Boys. Is it called Clockwork Boys? I don't know. There's another T. Kingfisher book already on this list, so this one won't be making it. As much as I enjoyed it, it's not quite end of year list worthy. And my final read for the month was An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. I can never remember what this book is called for the life of me, because I keep thinking like, it's called A Study in Drown, it's called A Theory of Dreaming, it's called A Lesson in Vengeance. It's not. It's An Education in Malice. I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Not last month, maybe the month before. Recently, didn't like it, but this one, Dowry of Blood and Education in Malice are both on Kindle Limited. It didn't click to me that they were the same author, and because I saw An Education in Malice was so hyped, I thought I'd read it. And it's not what I was again expecting. Dark academia. There's limited academia. Laura goes to school. She has a rivalry with Carmilla. I believe this is a reimagining, retelling of Carmilla. Was that not Dracula's first wife? Vampire. They have a rivalry in this, elite exclusive poetry class. Teacher of the poetry class is a vampire who's, not ward. Companion is Carmilla. They've suddenly, they all just stopped going to school. So it is pictures of dark academia. There is very slight academia. But is it really dark academia if you are not attending your education? It is just about vampires and being in love. It's a very straightforward plot. I read this very quickly. There's no B plot at all. It is just Laura and Camilla pining after each other. And again, I wanted to like this because sapphic vampires. It also took me far too long to work out when this book was set. I thought it was contemporary for a while. And then we got to a scene where the teacher is like, oh, my sire died or disappeared in 1940, and I've been looking, or 1930, and I've been looking for 40 years. And I was like, this book's set in the 70s? Basically my complaint is I have no strong sense of place, location, world. It is very character heavy, but I didn't like the characters. In summary. So yeah, they are the books I read this month. I will be writing more articulate just little paragraph reviews for some of these, and then hopefully soon I will get down to it and write long reviews for the books I love this year. Because not gonna lie, my book reviews are the only thing that get views on this channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope next month I have a bountiful, enjoyable reading month. And I will see you then. Bye.